Hey collectors, welcome to Star Wars Collected. I'm Jonathan. If you're new here, I hope you consider sticking around and subscribing. But if you've been here before, I want you to hit that like button if you're flying casual, because what I have for you guys today is the MYC Imperial Shuttle. OMG, cannot wait. Guys, it's here. This is the MYC Imperial Shuttle. If I was gonna make a short list of my favorite ships, it would be on the shortest of short lists. I just love the design. It is so elegant, it's so brutalist, and this was always one of my favorite ships. And it wasn't until I started collecting Star Wars again in my 20s that I ended up with the Hasbro one, which I actually might pull out here at the end, just to give you a little side-by-side and take a look at it. Big box inside of a big box. I'm gonna try to go through this a little bit faster. I know some of my MYC videos get a little bit long just because I love them so much and there's so much detail and there's always so much to talk about. So I'm gonna try to speed it up a little bit this time. But if you haven't watched before, MYC is a company that makes these amazing models. They started off with making more like statues, like quarter scale statues, things like that, kind of like Sideshow would make premium format things. But most recently have started shifting into ships. They're still making great statues, but they've been making a lot of ships recently, and they are like a godsend. For years, what I wanted was a high-end ship maker that would make these cool models. I was buying Hasbro ships and repainting them and trying to like fix them with little pieces of plastic and all that stuff. Michael from MYC, he descended from the heavens with a halo and his little angel wings and said, "I got you, Jonathan. I'm just gonna make them for you, buddy, and you can just send me money." And that's what we've been doing now for well over a year. Some of my absolute favorite pieces of my collection are from MYC, are from Michael, and as much as I am a helmets guy and love collecting helmets and one-to-one scale props, MYC ships right now are my main bread and butter. Right on this top shelf here, we have the wings, 2 bottom wings and the top wing. So Michael teams up with Sci-Fi Studio scale modelers for I think all of his pieces, but at least most of his pieces. And those guys together make my dreams come true. So this is 73 of 75. This is the coin collection. When some of his pieces are so popular and he wants to still kind of limit the scale of the edition size, he'll do kind of coin edition versions. So I've got this piece here, it says 73.75. It's stamped like a credit card would be, which is pretty cool. Imperial Shuttle Flight Mode, limited edition of 75 worldwide. So 73 or 75, I barely made it in, it sounds like. And you may have noticed it said Flight Mode on there. We'll talk about that here in a moment. And then here is a nice plaque, very much in the style of some of the high-end collectibles you have out there. MYC Sculptures, Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, Imperial Shuttle, Lambda-Class Flight Mode, 73 or 75. So Flight Mode keeps coming up. That is because this was released in 2 different configurations. You could get it in Flight Mode where it's all folded down. You kind of have that classic triangle shape. Or you could get it in Landing Mode where it has the 2 side wings going straight up and that there. Man, talk about your Sophie's choice, okay? So I love the elegance of this ship in both configurations. I always loved that the wings went up when it came to the way that it landed. Right now I'm taking out the little guns that are going to go on the side, and we have 4 of those because we have 2 that go on each side. Next up here is another little gun turret. I've got the aft cannon here, this goes on the back, and I'm detecting magnets in here because they're starting to want to stick together. I love that MYC uses magnets to connect so many other things together. It means you're not relying purely on tension and wedging stuff together, and you know, over time paint could decay a little bit or that fitment could just become a little loose, and I love that the magnets give me that little extra hug, you know, like a little security blanket that my little baby MYC statues are gonna be just fine. Here is that glorious cockpit. You can see the black glass over top there, and there's the shadow of 2 pilots inside. You get a real sense of the scale of this ship by having those little pilots inside. The MYC ships tend to have electronics inside of them, and unlike my usual meh feeling about electronics when it's something like inside of a helmet or like a Hot Toys, these plug in, which means that they're much more usable in my opinion, opposed to something that's battery operated, and you know, you shouldn't keep batteries inside of stuff, it's gonna corrode, and you're just like, you're gonna put them in there, you're gonna turn it on, 30 seconds of wow, and you're gonna turn the mic off, take the batteries out, just a huge hassle. Something like this, you just leave it plugged in, and when you flip a switch or however you want to do it, they light up, and we'll show you that today. I'm super excited to look at that. Anyway, you had to choose between Flight Mode and Landing Mode. Both modes looked incredible in the renders, and I ended up going with Flight Mode because I just sort of like, when I close my eyes, as much as I picture, you know, the Emperor walking off the one, I just see it flying, and it's just that shape is just so beautiful and so elegant. Here is the main fuselage of it, the main container. It is interesting to always see these ships in pieces, to think of them that way. So, you know, this is a shuttlecraft. So inside of this main hull is where you would have, you know, our dignitaries, our Darth Vader, our Emperor, things like that, transporting from one place to another. You have this nice gloss back here on the back, these little pieces on the side here that are sort of like the little gears that kind of like move the wings up and down. You have this vent here on the front, just really awesome details. They always bring out so many cool details. We do have the display rod here, which has been labeled as top and base. Thank you for that. MYC understands that display is such an important part of a collection, and they do a really good job with the bases and how they approach the displays. One thing I appreciate about their displays is that they offer a very consistent base. It is this big kind of block, and then on top of that is some glass, these sort of like little screws here in the corner. Underneath that, they will have their logo as well as whoever they partnered with on that one. And even when they offer some cool environmental bases, so they've done it with the AT-AT, they've done it with the upcoming Jawa Sandcrawler, but even when they offer those, and they are very cool, they still offer this base, which is the one that I tend to go with. It's just a little bit more museum-like in that way. All right, so we have this here. This is the base. And they do a good job at making things kind of only fit one single direction. I'm gonna put everything on my handy dandy Lazy Susan here before I build it all out. So that way once it's built, we can kind of twist it around and check it out together. Okay, here comes the main fuselage. We're gonna put that on top. It only fits one direction, like I said, and this is for electronics here. It's a little connection inside of both ends. There was one in the base, and then we have a power outlet here at the back. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is how tall it is right now, but you have to remember there's a whole like dorsal fin that goes on this thing too. So we're gonna go ahead now and we're gonna place this on here, and I can already feel the magnets kind of grabbing it, and it just slides it into place. It's like it wants it. There is a number of cannons for us to place here, and again, they are designed in a way that they only go a single direction. So even though these pieces are nearly identical in shape, the back are mirror images of one another. So this one has to go over here, and then this one has to go over here. There's no other option. I love it. This is the aft cannon, so we'll go ahead and move this around. Only a single option, put that in there that way. Okay, so now I think we are ready for the wings. And they plug in the underside here. And let's go ahead and we'll do this one as well. And again, they have what kind of looks like a headphone jack here on there, and that's gonna help deliver power. Okay, nicely secured there. And we have these guns. Let's go ahead and place these little blasters. Place that one here on the side like that. Snaps in, go to the inside, snaps in, inside. It just wants it. It wants to be together. It wants me to build it. And it just makes it so easy. And these have like a slight adjustment to them. Once they're in there, you can move them around a little bit if you need to. So like if you need to just slightly adjust height, there's just a tiny bit of wiggle, which is nice. I feel like I'm crowning it now. Like this is like the Emperor, right? And I'm like, here is your crown, Emperor. Boom. And it's plugged in. What do you guys think? I think it's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. The proportions and all that stuff. What I'm used to is the other versions, which have been used for play. And it's just, this looks so good, so sleek, so like understatedly sinister. I'm loving like this angle coming up here, and I'm loving this angle that's in here, and the way this blade just like cuts forward. I'm in love with it. Let's talk about the paint job and the finishes and stuff like that. So this has been weathered up, and there is sort of a general, you know, it's sort of a gray with maybe a little bit of warmth to it, color as far as the base color goes, and then it's had a good washing over top of that with some black or some gray. You're gonna find a lot of grime here, kind of in these little gears, a lot of dirt throughout there. And they've then done some really special things to it, which is very important for this kind of model, is that there's always kind of these like little spots, like a little tiny like rust spot that started, and a little bit of run off of that. You'll find that on a lot of Imperial stuff, AT-ATs, things like that nature, that kind of have that throughout. Extra grime where there should be extra grime, like in the little crevices here around the wings. That is something to like really talk about right there, that these wings, this little top panel, so thin, and then with a little bit of in between, and then another layer, also so thin. Of course, you're gonna have that here on the top, but That's just really nice precise work. I love that there's two little pilots in there. That just helps you envision the scale. You have them sitting very far apart, and it just gives you the impression that, like, yeah, it makes sense that you really could transport the Emperor inside of this and have him feel very comfortable, have him have a good security detail with him. Each one of these little blaster pieces is so dainty but so perfect, especially this one up here. It not only has the two blaster cannons that you're used to, but then there's like these two little tiny ones to sit on top that I don't even know if I've ever noticed before, and they just look spot on. So the paint and weathering overall, really good. And then there is just sort of this general brushwork where, so like you have these drips that are coming down, right? But then there's just sort of this general feeling of like it's been weathered, and it's been weathered like downward. It's not like a swirly mess or something like that, that this has gone and landed on planets with elements or been in clouds and things like that, and that there has been just weather that's kind of come down of its wings, and it just feels directional, which is very interesting and not something I've really thought about before. And with this type of ship, it does make sense that it would kind of be directional downwards rather than like it's been flying through the atmosphere all the time. You would think maybe if you're doing a jet or something like that, that the environment would sort of beat it this way. But this thing's always kind of coming in nice and slow. It's sitting there. It's waiting for whoever it brought to transport. It's just waiting for them on a landing pad somewhere. There's tons of details underneath, which I'm not even really gonna be able to show you guys, but it just goes to show that Michael and his team that he works with, they don't skimp. If it's there, they're gonna put it there, they're gonna work and try to get you every single detail that they can. Real quick, I'm gonna grab my Hasbro version. It's really a disservice, but it's gonna be the best reference that a lot of you guys have out there. So let me grab that real quick. All right, guys, so here is the Hasbro version. This is something that I have in my collection, basically because I wanted a shuttle Tidarian and I wanted one of size, and this was the closest I could come at the time. So let me go ahead and put this kind of in the configuration that matches this the best. So size-wise, the Hasbro version is larger. Obviously, there's just a lot of details that have been simplified down and are missing. You have a little panel here on the side of the Hasbro version that lets you get some guys inside and play with them. You have this front canopy thing here that comes up, and you're able to fit a couple characters in there, as well as a little spot behind there, and the landing platform comes out. I mean, really, as far as Hasbro ships go, this really is one of the nicest ones I think they've ever made. And I think that's pretty well reflected by, if you go to eBay or you go to a toy show or something like that, it is usually kind of commanding a premium. One thing that I always thought was funny was that these guns were always kind of configured, I believe, upside down. I believe that this is the proper way to put them on. But again, they've kind of simplified things down. There's only kind of two little guns on here instead of the four that should be on there. The neck has no detail on it. Some of these vents here are kind of missing. So, you know, really good, honestly, in the grand scheme of Hasbro. They've also done the directional weathering. Like I said, it is very appropriate for this type of vehicle. But, you know, proportions wise even, they're really not bad. It is a little more bloated. It's not quite as svelte, especially in this nose canopy area, how much more svelte this version feels. But in the grand scheme of things, you know, if you're not gonna be able to pick something like this up and this is your pride and joy, I don't shame you, because this is a really nice piece. But this is really kind of more what I've been looking for, a little bit more my speed when it comes to what I'm looking for display wise. And I really don't think I could ask for any changes, any additions, any modifications. What I do want to do real quick though is plug it in and show you guys the electronic features. In the back here, you're going to find these incredible lights that it has, showing off the power as if it's actually going down a system. And you're also going to find that there are lights on the undercarriage here, which is accurate to the movie. And of course, I'd be remiss if I missed these up here. There are two lights sitting on top of here. You're gonna have two lights down here as well, and two lights on this side too. So all of the things lighting up, looking amazing, looking so good. Well, collectors, I really don't know what else to say. I know I said I was gonna try to make this shorter. I don't know if I had any success with doing that. MYC is sold basically through their website. If you want to pick up an MYC piece for yourself, you're going to want to join their Facebook group. That's a place where Michael kind of goes and previews what's coming out, when it's going to happen, pre-order dates, all that stuff. And man, you better be on that website ready to go, because often these things are basically sold out within 5 to 10 minutes or so. I just can't say enough nice things about MYC Sculptures and Statues and what they do for the community. So if you like things like MYC Statues, you like things like 1-to-1 scale props, you like helmets, you like premium format, you like hot toys, you like stuff like that, you are in the right spot. Make sure you subscribe. Also make sure you're following us on Instagram. It's a place where you and I can interact a little bit more directly. I'm always putting up good deals that I find, and putting up fun polls, memes, all that stuff. So it's a place to just sort of like have fun with Star Wars, and that's kind of what we're trying to do here. So for now, that's it. I've got a bunch of new videos coming out with helmets, more MYC stuff, little Rs, Prop Masters, things coming on the way. So if you like that kind of stuff, we'll see you later.